I've dubbed them the Outer Wilds Club. That one group of friends on Twitter who, whenever I post a video game research question, never fail to respond to every single one with the same answer. Outer Wilds. Video game story with the best ending, Outer Wilds. Game with the best mystery discovery payoff, Outer Wilds. Best user interface or best video game soundtrack. I think you get the idea. Now, the Outer Wilds Club aren't an evil group. They don't do what they do to get under anyone's skin. The reason I know they're being genuine isn't only due to their consistency, but because of their infuriating respectfulness every time they bring it up. For a group so passionate about this 2019 video game, they're an incredibly tight-lipped community, a phenomenon not seen often in the video game space, and yet after all these years, I've never seen any one of the members leak any spoilers or mention anything specific about the game. They go no further than those two words. So here's the question, what are they hiding? If I was being honest, I had slowly become jealous of this group. I was Scotty Smalls on the outside looking in on the Sandlot kids. They all knew something I didn't, and I wanted to know their secret so bad. But it was clear I had to work for it. This is what I carried with me when I finally picked up Outer Wilds on PS5 a few weeks back. If I couldn't join the club, I was going to expose their secrets instead. But when booting up the game, I was pleasantly surprised to learn that this was a time loop story, where the game itself revolves around the universe rewinding and resetting every 22 minutes. This is absolutely my jam. Present me with the ability to time travel in a sandbox playground, and you have my full attention. It's perhaps why I loved Majora's Mask so much, and it's difficult not to make comparisons between the two, because while both games equip you with godlike time travel abilities, both games also juxtapose the superpower by placing you in a world that doesn't care about you. In both of these games, you're not at the center of the universe, and the galaxy will ebb and flow and function with or without your input. It's this feeling of insignificance that adds to the dread, probably because it's one of the more relatable components of the human experience. This was something I couldn't help but resonate with deeply during my playthrough. Since transitioning to the work from home freelance model during the pandemic, that feeling of loneliness finds me all too easily these days. But on this topic of dread, another relatable Outer Wilds element that adds to this is how it puts you at the mercy of physics. In Outer Wilds, the only real danger, other than a few giant fish, is you and your ability to manage your velocity in relation to the gravitational pull of each celestial body. You quickly learn that there's a price to pay if you misjudge your velocity, and believe me, by the time you get into the back end of the game, your pockets are well and truly empty. But this also means that every time you set out into space, you've improved somehow. Compared to my very first liftoff, I grew into a completely different person. And this is saying something in a game without stats or ability points or collectibles. Growth in Outer Wilds is only something that you feel, and it's hard not to feel proud of this kind of achievement. It's ultimately the wisdom equation of knowledge plus experience plus good judgment. But then combine that process of growing in wisdom with the freedom to choose how you play in that video game playground, and you have the ingredients for what is ultimately a very reflective experience. In Outer Wilds, no one was telling me what to do or where to go. The only mission I was trying to complete was the one I set myself. And this means that my playthrough was very much a reflection of who I was as a person and how I think about choices. At this point, I began to understand that the Outer Wilds secret was a single word, but I hadn't put my finger on it yet. Deliberate or calculated, maybe?
I told you, Benny, we told you.
But on the same thread, this reflective human experience is compounded by the always looming presence of death. And this is another way that Outer Wilds relates to Majora's Mask, because ultimately, both time loop resetting events are cosmic ones that involve the collapse of a celestial body. In Majora's Mask, the moon is pulled down onto the planet by an evil force, while the sun in Outer Wilds goes supernova, destroying everything in its blast radius. But there is an important difference between how each game handles this event, because while the world-ending collision of Majora's Mask is charged with sinister overtones, the ending of Outer Wilds is completely neutral. This explosion is the cause of natural powers, and so there's no one to be upset at. There's not a lick of evil present in Outer Wilds, and so each time as the 22-minute time loop comes to an end, it's impossible not to reflect on the temporary nature of things as you let death wash over you. It's a profound moment of acceptance where a video game death doesn't signify failure, but rebirth. After all, it's only a moment of transition between learning something new and the excitement of learning something new. As I crept closer and closer to the ending of the game, I was in such a flow state with Outer Wilds that I completely forgot about the club and the jealousy I was carrying. It began to dawn on me that access to the Outer Wilds secret was only gained by surrendering to the experience.
Man, this is baseball. You gotta stop thinking. You just have fun.
I think it's fair to say that by the time the credits began rolling, I had not only developed an intimate relationship with the Outer Wilds universe and all of its quirks, but through this relationship was offered space, pun not intended, to reflect.
Smalls, throw to second.
Okay.
While I could never relate to zooming around the galaxy, visiting other planets, or performing surgery on my own spaceship, I could relate to the human elements the game used as building blocks: time and death and acceptance and mystery and discovery and dread and mortality and purpose and... what's the word? Oh yeah. Intentionality.
Watch out!
And at that moment, I caught it. I got Outer Wilds. A game about intentionality. Everything pointed towards this. The way I had set my own goals, the way I had reflected on my choices and sought out answers to questions that would somehow grant me an exit from the time loop of loneliness. And this is saying nothing of the intentionality found in the design of the game itself. Every line of dialogue, every phrase of music, the physics engines, and the way all the story pieces came together in the end spoke volumes of the thought and care and intentionality the creative team poured into the experience. And so in the spirit of this newfound sense of intentionality, I took to Twitter to sing my praises of Outer Wilds. And it wasn't long before the club joined the conversation, but this time with a different set of responses. I did enjoy finally being accepted into the club, but I can't say that I didn't see the irony of finally being accepted despite my initial goal being to bring them down. Over the next few weeks, I had some wonderful conversations with friends about Outer Wilds, comparing our experiences and reflections. But what's more, I finally understood the silence the club chose to operate in. By being intentionally quiet about Outer Wilds, they were telling everyone exactly what they needed to know. They couldn't have been any louder. But I think that's all I'm going to say on Outer Wilds, because I don't want to give too much away.